My child at home needs to be running around, he needs to have videos, he needs to do lots of things. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I need to revisit how my traditional classroom is working. Can you change the environment of the classroom, the physical layout of the room to improve people's learning? We thought maybe we could do something a little bit different. And then that's when we started going to the students and asking them, how do you learn? What would you put in this room to make your learning experience better and my behavior of my students improved just by moving desks? Kids wanted to move. That was the number one thing that they wanted to do. So they can move around the class freely. Kids that are having a terrible day, they'll want to bounce on the ball. Kids that are having a mellow day, they might want to sit on the floor. Actually, a lot of kids love sitting on the floors, even in high school still.
The things I do in class while I'm moving, I tend to remember those things more than the things I remember when I'm sitting down because I'm used to being active.
One thing that I actually found was that by having myself physically engaged during the classroom, just by the fact that I was standing rather than just sitting, it also kept me mentally engaged and helped me to focus a lot better.
There's a lot more that you can do rather than just sit. There's a lot more that you can discover in a sense because you can change where you want to sit and you can meet new people, talk to new people, and I think that really helped as well.
As teachers, we're taught that people will learn when everything is quiet and everything is organized and ordered. And I had this person bouncing up and down on the yoga ball and it was driving me crazy. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I saw the smile on their face and the fact that they were looking at me right in the eyes and I had their attention 100%. And then at that moment, I realized that this room is going to be a lot more powerful than I thought. So when students come into the room, it's a very first positive experience that they have. Wow, this looks like kindergarten. This looks like home. At first I was thinking, oh, I don't know if that's how I should have the feeling for a secondary school class, until you realize that the anxiety level of your students when they come in your classroom is vastly changed.
I think it also creates a much more open learning environment where there's better communication between students and other students as well as students and the teacher.
There'd be some days when I'm just drained and I just want to sit at a table, but there's others where I can't sit still. So that would really help to go on the bike or sit on the balls. But I found the fluency of the ways that you can learn to be really helpful.
So before I used to be a very traditional teacher, front of the classroom, here's my lesson, here's your activity, go. I'm trying to think a lot more out of the box or using the box of my classroom in order to enhance the teaching. I always thought, education had to be a certain way in a more academic setting, like let's say geography. So when I go and I teach that class, I need to remember, no, I have to bring in my creativity, I have to remember the needs of my students, and I have to think of the physical space as a tool to enhance the learning. And that's when things kind of started zipping along.
There are some days that I blank out, even though Miss Kojin is talking, I can see her talking, but I'm not really processing it. She always says that certain things are on the walls, so when I'm having one of those days, I can refer to the wall. Normally I take a picture of the things that are on the wall, so when I go home to do my homework, I can look at that because I possibly didn't remember what she said.
Well, performance is not only academic performance, it's also how they feel about coming to school. And I find, first of all, my attendance is much better. Always the students that seem to be the ones that are most reluctant to the classroom are the ones that are racing to get to certain features of the room. They are walking as fast as they can to make sure they're getting the yoga balls and sitting at the big tables because that's where they want to be during that day. I have had lots of students say to me that they feel better being in the room, that they feel more focused in the room, and they have a perception that they are doing better in the room, academically wise, mark wise. And the data that we're polling and getting from our results for the last semester is suggesting that to be an actual fact.